This is SOUQ Business Landscape.
Hello and welcome to SOUQ Business Landscape, the program that connects policy, market, and innovation across Africa's evolving economy. Now, every week we unpack the biggest developments shaping business, governance, energy, trade, and technology and explore what they mean for you, investors, and the continent's growth story. From boardrooms to board posts, from oil fields to fintech hubs, SOUQ Business Landscape brings you the trend, the data, and the voices driving Africa's transformation. I am Olumide Shokoya. Of course, I'm not alone. I have the ever-delectable, ever-popping Swift at Dairy Talk.
Good morning, Olumide. How you doing?
How you doing?
You're looking very cool. You're looking like someone that is about to go in for a business meeting to make those major decisions. Yes.
I am.
Let's make those decisions. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Africa. Good morning, world. Of course, welcome once again. They tell you that if the world says that you can't do it, you need to make a conscious effort to push yourself and do it, because the Dangotes of this world and the Utedolas of this world did not hear no. They pushed themselves beyond limits. Welcome to SOUQ Business Landscape, where we ensure that we push you beyond your limits. My name is Swift. Let's have an amazing show together.
Yes, let's have an amazing show where we discuss business, economy, and development. Don't forget to like, comment, and share our YouTube page. That's SOUQ News TV. We also have two guests that will be joining us virtually, Dayo Konuga and, of course, Dr. Idahosa Osamanze. He is, like I call him, the think tank. Now, the presidency is considering restructuring asset ownership within the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, in response to concerns over its persistently low oil production levels. Special advisor to the president on energy, Oluvehayen, disclosed this on Monday at the Nigerian Association of Petroleum Exploration conference in Lagos. She emphasized that achieving the national target of 3 million barrels per day requires more than promises. It demands performance-driven management and a clear accountability framework. Verheyen raised doubt over NNPC's ability to drive production growth under its current restructure and stressed for the need for shift in operational control. She called for a revitalization of Nigeria's oil and gas sector through asset optimization, improved governance, and greater private sector involvement. Now, the proposed reforms aims to ensure energy security, attract investment, and align the sector with global sustainability standards. Quite interesting. This from where we've been going and where we are right now, talking about national assets. But what's your thoughts so far on this? First off, when Ojulari came, he said, "Oh, am I going to sell the asset?" Later on, we're not going to sell. Now they're saying, "Oh, we're thinking of selling to the private sector." What's your thought in this whole thing? Where do you think we're going to?
So what I see NNPC as that special child in the house. You know, if you've ever had a special child in the house, your parents always make a conscious effort to rig the system for. So everybody goes out. But when that special child goes out, that's the day the child doesn't get beaten. Your parents come up with a reason why. And that's how NNPC has been all this time. We have been investing money. We have been putting in money. They have so much power in their hands. And right about now, it's time the federal government needs to do something about it. So they are talking about, first of all, regulating them, reducing their powers. One is they are going to, NNPC controls the sole contract to give out anything that has to do with contracts with oil and gas. And they're the ones that control all those things. So they are thinking that they need to shift that power from NNPC now to the regulatory board, because you have been doing this all these years. And from the latest review that Senator Ned is handling, is showing that a lot of oil turning to billions of naira cannot be accounted for. We are talking of oil that has already been, other oil servicing companies have already tendered that this is what we have gotten. But by the time it hits the IC or exchange has come and money is supposed to hit NNPC or hit a handle, NNPC cannot account for these funds. So the first thing they are saying is, also people have been complaining, a lot of people in the oil and gas sector have been complaining that some staff of NNPC have single-handedly crashed down oil companies. If they don't like your face, if the conversation is not good for you, your depot, your people, especially when they were solely in charge of importation, do not get anything. I had a friend's father who had been doing this. He was managing one of the franchises of, I think, Total. And then he had an issue with one small boy in NNPC here, not even a big man. And the guy said, your station is not going to get fuel for the next 3 months. And that happened. And so if you put so much power in these people's hands, these people that are in charge of depot, we are talking of before Dangote came now, you can imagine the kind of power they have when it's coming to awarding contracts, when it's coming to who can go and drill for oil in certain areas, who gets the oil wells. Some people that own oil and gas companies have complained that even up to the renewal of their oil and gas servicing contracts, they need to wet so many hands. So what this proposal is saying is, look, minus what we see for scarcity, it is that these people are too strong. And since it looks like they are not making profit for the federal government, every year NNPC is talking of losses. We removed fuel scarcity. That same month or between 3 months, the small money that the federal government in quotes claimed that they made by removing fuel scarcity, NNPC found a way of taking that money back by claiming importation went up. So Nigeria started to ask, okay, so why did we now remove it? And this is one of the issues that the Tinubu administration has faced. They have faced the bitter route of the general public. And so people are asking, why are these people so strong if they are not bringing financial gains? If Total, if Shell, if Schlumberger, if other independent oil drilling companies are making so much profit and taking back to their countries, why is NNPC not making this much profit? We are looking at the turnover Dangote is bringing. We are looking at what Dangote is bringing for taxation. How much is NNPC giving out as taxation? What are they giving? So the federal government needs to sit down, and this is laudable. People are saying it is high time we break the wings of this special child. This special child has been fed by the economy, carried by the economy. The older ones that are not even as strong have had to back this child whether they are tired or not. Can we do away with NNPC? Can we break some of their monopoly? Can we sell them off? Giving out, for me, the first thing is take out the power of contracts, because someone else also told me that there's a certain level you get to, I don't know how true this is, you automatically get shares as an NNPC person. You automatically can own a fuel station because you automatically get consignments. It is awarded to you when you work in certain places. It's too much. We are backing these people too much.
All right, so let me bring into this conversation. Now, oil production is underperforming. I mean, we're doing 1.4, 1.5 instead of the 3 million target that we're supposed to do. So before we can even restructure, let's even start addressing the problem. What structural weakness do you think is really affecting NNPC from performing beyond expectations?
What we need, like Atiku has recommended before election, is to sell the NNPC. It's just simple and plain truth. But also, you are talking about what are the effects. The recruitment process, the fact that we are a multicultural, multilingual, multi-religious country, or a coalition of strange bedfellows that were forced together. Go and check almost all the country, like I said the last time, where their oil industry work well. You don't take the psychological aspect of it into consideration, but the psychological aspect of it is the fact that most of them, if not almost all of them, are monolingual, monoreligious country with deep system of government. So their government can either be monarchy or a very deeply entrenched democracy where the rule of law takes full course. The Saudi Aramco knows every liter of crude oil that is drilled from the ground and knows how that 1 liter of crude oil moves through every pipe till it gets refined, till it gets into the ship, till it gets transported to wherever it's going in the world. And while on its way in the world, they know where every of their ships is. That only works because in Saudi Arabia, apart from the fact that they are monocultural, monolingual, and monoreligious, the fact that once your hand is caught in the cookie jar, they will display you in public and cut off your head. That's what they do in Saudi Arabia. And so you won't have any incentive to be found wanting in those areas. But what do we do in Nigeria? We give chieftaincy title to people who have been found with corruption. We give them national awards. We find excuse to exonerate them from what they have done to the nation. And until this is dealt with, we will never get it right. And so the easiest solution, the most workable solution, is what Van Hejen is proposing. He's using the term rejig of assets now because the last time she spoke in plain terms that they are going to sell the assets. I know some people who don't want progress are already out gun blazing against her. That is why she's pulling down the way she presents it. But the simple thing she's saying is that we need to sell the NNPC. We ought to have sold NNPC since like yesterday or day before yesterday. But today is the next best time to sell NLPC and let them focus on their regulatory role alone, not day-to-day business running or else we are not going to meet the 3 million barrel per day. And the benefit of that is that all other countries like Saudi Arabia, who can produce like 10 million barrels per day, but they have been pegged to produce lower, they will, take the production deficit from us, add it to their own, and be able to produce more than the OPEC quota given to them. That's the challenge.
All right, thank you very much, Benga. Also, I would like to welcome Dr. Idahosa Samanzi, who joins us virtually. Good morning, Doctor. He joins us from South Africa.
Good morning, Shokoya. My pleasure to be with you this morning.
All right, so Doctor, let me bring you up to speed. Now, Oluvehain is saying they need to restructure NNPC because of its failure to meet up to production of the 3 million barrels per day target. Now, Benga is insisting that we sell off the asset, which was proposed earlier on, but in a way of bringing in the private sector. What's your thought? Do you think the government's plan of restructuring the NNPC is feasible and would not disrupt any production?
I had the opportunity of meeting some people with Nuprek about 4 days ago, and these issues, of course, again came up about the viability of the assets of NNPC. I think we are just a nation of talk shop. We like to make very grandiose statements and presentations. And the last thing that we will do as a people is to even find a way to do an assessment of the things that we are talking about. And I think that's the problem that we face as a nation. We must realize that when people are benefiting from a system, they must continue to perpetuate that system so that the benefit can continue to come to them. So NNPC for a very long time has been a drain pipe to so many people. And so people like it the way that it is. And I think that the best thing that this government can do for itself is to scrap NNPC, just as Dangote said it, because it's not going to work. You see, we cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. We've done this turnaround maintenance since the 1980s, and it has not worked. And it's not going to work. That is the truth. So we continue to pour money in there. No matter what restructuring you are going to do, just keeping job for some people. And I think that is where the big problem is. And I feel that government just have to scrap that asset, whatever little money they can get from it and invest it, maybe to support the new expansion that Dangote is doing. Probably it will bring more profit to us as a nation. Because the issue here is not issue about competence, it's not issue about whether the technologies are right. It's the issue that we lack patriotism as a people. We are not nationalistic enough, and everybody is working for his pocket. And as long as that mindset and culture remain, it will be very difficult for us to see a national asset prosper.
All right, thank you very much, Doctor. So if I may ask, what about public sector partnership or private sector partnership? Do you think that might work?
You see, the truth of the matter is that by the time you do that partnership, the bug from the public sector corrupts the private. And that is why, of course, PPP has not worked in Nigeria as a country. Just look at everywhere PPP has been initiated. At the end of the day, what do? We take it back. Look at, for example, the Ibadan Lagos Road that was concession to Babalaki at a certain point in time. What happened? Look at what is happening at our airports. So there is nothing that you will have to do jointly with the public service that can actually produce results. And that for me is what it is. And we must understand what our problem is. And that is the only way we can find solution to the problems.
All right, thank you very much, Doctor. Let me bring Benga into this discussion. Benga, now, if we say we should sell off these assets, there's another lingering problem. We know that sometimes when these sales want to be made, it goes back to the same people who are trying to, get it away from. So if the government, peradventure, were to sell off this asset, how do we even ensure that the right people, the bid is fair and the right people who would actually transform this particular sector get this asset?
Well, Dangote looked like one of the same people before he got his own refinery. But when he got his own refinery, because he's a businessman who wants to make profit, he does everything using technology, using human capacity and whatever it is that needed to be used, protect his refinery and make sure that the refinery works. And so the same way, these people will destroy it if it is, there's a difference between our thing and my thing. So while it is still our thing, they will do whatever it is like a lackadaisically, but when it becomes their thing, the song changes immediately because they want to make profit. And so saying that whether it will function when it gets to private hands, it's a given that it will function, it will do well when it gets to private hands. What we need to do is make the process of it getting to private hands as transparent as possible. Because, all these them that you are talking about is not just one person, it's not 10 people, it's not 50 people. So there can be as much as 1,000 of them, different investors. So let whoever gets at the end of the day, let it not be like the case in 2005, where some people used their power as CBN governors. They sold some banks and gave it to smaller banks to swallow up bigger banks at pittance just because they can. Let it not be that same situation in this case. Let us be able to have fair and transparent transactions that Nigeria will benefit. Not that, this thing is worth 500 naira, but because you want to sell it among yourselves, you now go and sell it for 50 naira. And even maybe the nation will still pay another 30 naira transport fare to help you transport it. So once it is fair, I believe whoever takes over wants to make profit and will do well to make it work, because that's the only way their profit will be guaranteed.
Thank you very much, Benga. Coming to you, Swift. It's a whole lot.
Yeah.
Now, so the final question now is, but let me even bring this into it.
Yeah.
Even the first time Ojulari came out to say, let's sell it.
Yes.
Senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, said, you can't sell it. It's national asset. We can't sell it. What do you think about this?
So I said on this show before that a little board that whispered to me that the NNPC refinery, according to the person, has already been sold, and it has already been sold to a Dutch nationality, and that it's not just sold, that there were some lines that were crossed or dotted under one presidency that people are very sentimental about, that he knew what he was doing, didn't know what he was doing, and that there's even some legal standing that states that there's a limit of what we can do as Nigerians. The person further went on to say that, and this was a while back before when Tinubu government came in and said the refineries will work, and one of our former presidents said that our refineries can never work. I said it here before. And then the person went further to say that that person has rigged the refineries in such a way, or those people, that once the refinery hits 70% of its production capacity, that the refinery crashes. And Nigeria said, that's a joke. How can you rig refinery? And then we saw it when the Tinubu administration put in so much money and so much effort to get the refineries working. As soon as it started to hit 69, 70, the refineries came tumbling down because they had technology that have already been put in place. Now, when Femi Falana just, as soon as they said Femi Falana came out, he is coming out because Femi Falana always has these informations. He is coming out to remind them that, look, there's a legal binding for the country which we cannot really get out of according to that school of thought. So if it's true, then the federal government needs to do something else. What are the things we can get out of giving who handles our staffing, who handles petroleum contracts, who handles who is in the waterways, who is drilling? We can get out of this thing, so let's work at it. Talking if we now eventually get out of this and want to sell the refineries, I would advise, like Doctor said, I don't even want it to be local. I would rather be international. I would rather let's have Nigeria.
Sell it off to
I'm
foreign
telling
investors?
you, I would rather let us have a partnership with China, let them hold on to the refinery for 10 years, and in 10 years' time, we will review if it comes back to this country. When your countrymen have showed you that to a large extent they cannot handle a lot of things, and I'm not even going to lie. So, for example, you give China, the Chinese nation, the smallest refinery. Let's say Port Harcourt is smaller than Warri when it comes to production, or Kaduna. Give them, and then put one in Dangote's hands, or maybe an Otedola or somebody that is strong, and put one in state government's hand. You will see that that smallest refinery, the turnover will be 10 times what the other two are making. Because, like I said, these people have been bred with rules. Like he said, in Saudi Arabia, if you are caught, you are beheaded. In China, you are not just beheaded. Your country will pay for the person who beheaded you. Your country, the tax you are supposed to pay for 3 years or 10 years, your family members will have to raise the money. So anytime you are going to federal government, you are getting those appointments, your family members are begging them, we don't have money to pay tax. Let's be straightforward. So I feel that we should have a partnership with international nations, a servicing company from Saudi Arabia that has been doing an amazing job, an oil and gas servicing company. Let's sell the refineries to them. Let Nigerians just give us a percentage. Let's not do anything with the day-to-day running. Let's just get the profits back, because this, for me, this is the only way for me, I may be wrong. That's my school of thought. This is the only way the refineries work. If we keep putting it back in Nigerians' hands, Dangote already has his refinery.
Yes.
Let him
Another
have,
refineries are coming up shortly.
Let him have competitions. Can we sell this one to international people? That's my take.
I think we could have something like the partnership we had in Ondo, the new partnership with Ondo and the Canadian. Something like that is quite, visible. The goal is to meet our target, be able to supply, meet OPEC quota, and also supply the local.
So Oshomole had a similar partnership with Dangote with cement in Edo, because back in the day, before all this the country went beautiful, though Okwila Cement was one of the biggest suppliers of cement all over Nigeria. Okwila Cement was going to Kano, Kaduna, wherever it was going to. And so when Oshomole came in, that was one of the things he said. He was going to revive the Okwila Cement. And so Dangote came in. They had a place where, there's cement in Edo. You can get the sound from Ore. And they started the construction. It was some workers who did what they did, and of course, Oshomole and Dangote fell out at the end. So I don't really trust state government. Except you are going to send them on a training, renew their mind, and like Dangote does, put expatriates in all the major positions so that when the Nigerian factor comes in, the expatriates do not have the Nigerian factor. I'm sorry to use these words. Like I said, there's a TV.
That promote
good.
Jobs
it's not by
locally.
promoting jobs. It's how does it help the economy. So there's a TV showroom in Nigeria. All the managers are Lebanese. Some of the managers follow you to go and fix your television. When you buy it, as soon as you are buying it, they tell you, your television, no cost, we fix for you. We come to your house, we fix for you. They come. There's another one that is managed by the Nigerian. To see the manager when you have an issue, they will tell you that, oh, sorry, you cannot see him. He's busy, because the way is the same way you go to a Chinese restaurant. The owner of the Chinese restaurant in Nigeria, he's serving you, he's cooking for you. Now, this guy, when you look at his tax records and his turnover, maybe he makes 10 billion in a day. Look at a Nigerian who makes 500,000 in a day. They will not even talk to you. They will send their girl and say, have a good day, because it is mindset. That is who we are as a people. So until that mindset is changed, I will not hand over anything to a Nigerian. I know Benga wants to speak. He's itching to speak.
All right, Benga, let me bring you in. Swift is of the opinion we sell to another country. But for instance, if you bring in China, China will bring in their expatriate, their technicians. Every other thing will be handled by them. they will just leave the menial jobs to the Nigerian workers. So, what's your thoughts on this?
And I would, and I would, and I will tell you that outsourcing to China or India is the most evil, vile, and dirty thing to do. You see, you would think that China fights corruption. China only fights corruption within its own territory, inside its own country. China government actively encourages its citizens to be involved in corrupt practices to get contracts that will favor Chinese companies to do things. I mean, was it 2021 thereabout? A Chinese company in the north, a Chinese MD in the north was caught with 100 million naira cash in 2 cartons of all these bottled water. I don't want to mention the particular brand name of the bottled water. In 2 cartons, 50 million in each carton, which it took to bribe a certain government official for them to get a certain contract. So the Chinese foreign policy, for those who understand it, is that Chinese government actively encourage Chinese operatives outside the country to use whatever means, including corrupt practices. Like, for example, if a U.S. company is caught in corruption web or corruption trying to induce or whatever outside U.S., that person will still come back to U.S. and face the crime, and face criminal charges for that thing he did, even though it was committed outside the the grounds of U.S. But in China, it's a different case. Chinese only punish corruption, bribery, and all the rest if it is committed against China as a country and inside China, But if you commit corruption, bribery, and whatever in order to further the interest of China, in order to help China get certain contracts in other countries that they are trying to enter into, their government actively encourages it. And using one few bad eggs to generalize everybody else, I think is something we must refrain from as Nigeria. While we have people who, like Sweet rightly said, when they have 500,000, they become proud, you can't affect them. So also, we have people like my former boss, M1 Mohammed of Ash Group. His father was the former national PDP chairman that time. I'm trying to remember his name. These are people who are at the level of Dangote, but all staff can reach them. Any visitor, that has something of value, of course, you have to protect your big man as a company, so that an assassin will not just come and in the name of trying to do open door policy, you open the door of your chairman to that assassin. But even at that, there are a lot of powerful Nigerians who are doing well for Nigeria, whose doors are always open, who are accessible, and who are making efforts. Take, for example, the man I just spoke about. When he started his new company and left the company where he was my boss, for 2 years, he didn't sell 1 liter of fuel. But he was paying staff salary and when due. He pays staff salary on the 25 on failing. If it will fail on the 25, the HR would have notified you that for whatever reason, maybe bank issue or whatever, that you will get your money on the 26th. And if 26 is a Saturday or Sunday, you will get your money. These are Nigerians, they are not foreigners, and they are doing well for 2 years without making any profit, without selling any oil. He was paying staff salaries, and there are so many of them like that. So don't let us use the few, people who just came into money yesterday, and so they are misbehaving. Those people too are in China. They are everywhere around the world. Just yesterday, the BBC carried the news about a Chinese woman who was involved in money laundering and all these MMM kind of things that they were doing in Nigeria, and she defrauded people up to $6 billion, 61,000 in cryptocurrency, 61,000 Bitcoin, up to $6 billion. And so what that tells you is that corruption does not have a single nationality. But saying that because of a few presidents, you will say all Nigerians are not worth it, and that the Oyinbos who you are saying are what I would tell you, I can mention companies I know run by Indians in Nigeria who are doing a lot of money laundering, a lot of bribery, a lot of and because they will be wearing one shirt and trouser here, and they will be repatriating all those money that they are stealing from the company back to their country. So you won't know. It is when you go back to India and you see how large they are living, then you begin to wonder, is it not the same guy that we are earning the same salary in Nigeria that's even large like this?
Brilliant agreement. There are amazing Nigerians that are doing amazing work. I do not mean all Nigerians are bad. After all, I'm a good Nigerian and I'm not stealing any money. So yes, Benga, I totally agree with you. Yes.
All right, Doctor, any final thoughts on this?
Yeah, I just want to, it's good to be as patriotic and nationalistic as Benga sounds this morning. I don't know if Benga has read a book written by Richard Joseph, Prebenda Politics, The Rise and Fall of the Second Republic. I recommend he reads that book and reread it again. You see, the truth of the matter is, like I say to everybody, there is something that is culturally wrong with us. And until we have to rebrand that our head, and then, of course, a shift in culture, that people can begin to be as nationalistic as they can, we will not move anywhere. Look at just yesterday in BBC, and you saw that the General Manager News has resigned, not because she committed any crime, but because she felt that the people who were working under her had done something that was unethical against the doctrine of the speech of Donald Trump. And so now she has resigned, and she has walked away with integrity. How many Nigerians do you see that has that kind of confidence to walk away when things are not working? I think that's the point here. So when government appoints people and put them in position of power, all they do is sycophancy. They tell government what they want to hear. And of course, there's no other person who is going to whether validate or confirm whatever thing that it is. But government just want to survive, and therefore they have to agree to whatever thing that is being put out there. My point on this is simple. We have been on this road for too long. And if for over 30 years it's not working, there's no miracle that is going to work today. And successive generation of people have run down these projects. Not one person, not two persons, not from one culture, from different cultures. So if something is not working, then we put it away. I said to somebody last week, you see, the point we always argue is about this, what we call local content. Local content. Dubai is built by expatriates and is one of the most thriving economy in the world. So this over glorifying that until we have our local to do things for us, that's the only way we can make sense. For me, I think it's just being overly too nationalistic. But we must face the reality that there are a certain set of people who are making this country, who are taking so much to train their children abroad, and they don't want these things to work. The more that you try to make this thing work, the more that they will sabotage it. So why do we continue to move in that route? Is to look out for alternatives that can work for us better than staying on this lane that has not led us anywhere since independence.
All right, thank you very much.
Doctor, let us compare apples with apples. Dubai has a population of 1.2 million, and out of that 1.2 million, it's only 200,000 that are Dubai citizens. The remaining 1 million are outsiders. So if Dubai employs foreign nationals, it is understandable because they have a peculiarly different problem. Dubai just came up, in the 70s, and a lot of them were not involved in the
1970s when they had independence.
All right.
They opened their doors for people to come in and do business. And what they have done is that create those zones where people can thrive. But what do you see? Even in our free trade zone in Nigeria, is still governed by government officials, and they don't allow them to run as free trade zone because people want to take some rent from other people who are doing things very well. This is a problem we face. It's a people problem. And until we resolve the people problem, we'll be walking around the same cycle. That's the point I'm making. The whole of United Arab Emirates is about 10 million people. 1.5 is the Emiratis. Others are from nationalities because the doors are open for people to come and do business, contribute to the society. And then, of course, society is growing on a daily basis.
Gentlemen and lady, we still have other topics we need to discuss. I think we can all agree on this table, and of course, virtually that NNPC needs to be overhauled. It needs to be sold. It's just who the right person, who would pilot the ship. That's what we are, trying to stop.